All right, people. Now another day for a dark Switch game review on a tablet in my bedroom with no visuals or video uploads at all to show the gameplay that I'm trying to talk about. Welcome to the channel. Anyways, so I have my sister went out and bought a game a little while ago, and it's called the YS8 Lacrimosa of Donna. And I gotta say, this was a really fun game for me. She spent $80 on it. I don't know where she bought it from. She said there was nudity in it. That's what got me interested, but there was not. So I felt lied to. But it was a fun game. You know, I'm usually not that big of a fan of RPG games, especially when I haven't heard of them. I have a bad habit of really just buying games I know, which kind of makes it difficult for me to kind of branch out with different games. I remember a few years ago, I got Dragon's Age, and I didn't really want to play it for a while, but once I started seeing how the gameplay was, I didn't like it, but then I really got into the game. But this game is I'd probably say one of my favorite games. Up there with Persona 5, Super Mario Sunshine, and maybe a few others. So this game is a RPG style game, and it's a pretty long game too. It's kind of like a two period game. If y'all have ever played Okami, you'll go through it, you'll beat the big baddie of the game, and then you realize, oh, that didn't stop the problem. There's a bigger area of the game. And it's like that. Like, you beat the one big bad and you think it's over, but then something else happens. So it gives you like an extra. It's kind of like a big ass DLC towards the end of the game. And I gotta say, it's a very fun game. The combat is pretty good. It's kind of your stereotypical Fire Emblem where this beats that, this beats that, and this beats that. But you're pretty much just fighting a bunch of dinosaurs, which really makes it fun. It's a little bit different from your normal RPG, I'd say. You know, you don't have any orcs, elves, you don't have any. Technically, you got dragons in the game, but it's a little bit different. So basically, I'll give you a little bit of the summary of the beginning of the game. You are basically an adventurer. You're sailing with your buddy, and you go out and you're on a big old ship, and basically something attacks the ship, and all these people that were on the ship, including you and your buddy, get trapped on an island that was told at the beginning to be a very dangerous island that no ship ever comes, no ship is ever seen from again, basically. And that's pretty much the beginning of the game. And from there, you basically, you go and you rescue more castaways, you build up your village, you fight monsters, and it's a really fun game. The music it varies. You got some like kind of like soft sort of melodies, then you got some kind of cool rock style music going on, and and I got some of that music saved in my phone. Some of it's pretty dang good. Just go in the areas, boom, 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 boom. The combat itself is very stereotypical. You have your basic combo for whatever character. You have your slash attack characters, which is the sword fighters. Then you have kind of like a heavy axe sort of character, and then you have more of the spear. So basically, it was slash, pierce, and then I think crush. I think the crush was the other one. I don't fully remember. But those are the three, and you can collect a few different party members, but basically those are the three attacks that you really have. So it's not a huge variation per se, but they do come with their different kind of special attacks, which I think is pretty fun. I mostly played as the main character of the game because he's really the only combos I liked. Plus his special attacks were pretty good. And there's just a lot. There's a lot of mystery in the game too. Like, you're going through this, and then you start meeting some person from the past, and it's kind of become some correlation right there of where the lady in the past knows what you're doing, and you in the future knows what the lady in the past is doing. And there's a lot of mystery in the game, and you're going through it, and you think one mystery's solved, but then something else starts to happen. And that's pretty much the cool part of the game is that it just there's this continuation, and once you think you get towards the end, something else happens, and you go from there. And of course, you have your quests. You have your fetch quest. You got go out and kill this particular monster. You got you can upgrade your weapons. You can upgrade armor. You can buy armor, weapons. All kind. We can't buy the weapons, but you can buy accessories and all that. And I would say the combat over time does get very repetitive because there's not a huge variation on enemies. There's quite a different few, and in a few of the different areas, there's different uh, types. But over time, there are some pretty repetitive combat just due to not having a massive selection of monsters. It's not. It doesn't get to the point where it gets very boring, but the combat is just it's basically you can do a dodge attack, and if you do it at the right time, you can do these very speedy attacks. Everything's kind of slowed down. And if you block at the right time, you can do pretty much the same deal, but I believe right you were invincible for the time period. And between that and just having the different abilities, you don't have to rely on one specific character. You can pretty much attack. If the person's not susceptible to slash attacks, you can still fight them. You're just not going to do as much damage. But once you start leveling up, it didn't really matter anyways because you could still do a fair amount of damage. And I've realized further on in the game, even if you're a high level and you're facing something equal or lower, you still might take a little bit of time in order to kill them, which isn't that big of a deal. But the music is awesome. The visuals are nice. Location wise, it's not a huge variation either. You have a jungle, mountaintop, you got beaches, you got valleys and hills. So there is somewhat of a variation, but there's not like a whole bunch of stuff. But I think that's what makes it a pretty good game. It's just there's a lot of places to explore, and you there's some areas you can't get to yet because you don't have a particular item or something like that. So there is stuff like that. But when it comes down to the entirety of the game, it's very enjoyable. The characters are very memorable. You kind of connect with them on a deep level because me as a gamer, and I would say how I game, I tend to get very attached to the characters within the game. Uh, to a somewhat degree, if it's like a long RPG game, it tends to happen more often versus like a Call of Duty game. Like, oh, dude's dead, bye bye. All right, next time. But the characters are enjoyable. There's some variation in their characters. They have different personalities. Each of them have their own particular set of skills. They come from different backgrounds. Some of them are downright hateful. I hate a few of them. One in particular. But you're going through the game and you're meeting more people and you're starting to kind of build this thing and this village, and you're starting to learn the mystery of the island and how to get off of it. And it's a very good game. It's probably about a 50, 60 hour game, maybe a little bit longer depending on how many quests you do, which normally the quests have time limits. Some of them are very short time limits, some of them are a little bit longer of a time limit. But it really depends on if you want to do them or not. If you do them, uh, and you return the quest, the person who gave you the quest, their approval goes up, and they can get their abilities in combat is better. Because you do raids and you do hunts, and all the castaways end up aiding you with certain abilities. So the higher the approval they are, the better the abilities are. And overall, it's just a really fun game. I had a blast playing this game. There were some parts that were kind of frustrating. Mostly it was due to the certain enemies, because you sometimes it's kind of hard to tell if you can be in a certain area. Because like I said, there's some times where you could be level 60 going to get into level 50 or 60, and it really feels like you're not doing as much as you should be doing. But it's a fun game. I highly recommend it, especially if you like RPG games. And it's really up there with probably one of my most favorite games because just the music is great, the combat's pretty damn good, the characters are enjoyable to interact with, and the visuals itself is pretty good. And I would recommend this game. It's one of my favorite games. Even though if it does do the stereotypical half naked ladies in the game, why they constantly do that, I don't know. Because if you got your chesticles out, I really don't think a little tiny piece of metal armor is going to protect you against a giant velociraptor biting you in the torso. But, anyways, that's been me. As YS8, Lacrimosa Dana. Hope y'all enjoyed it, or at least got some interest in playing the game. And I will see you all next time. Bye bye.